Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the accurate 1425 SO3 automatic door bottom. This is what the bottom looks like in a cross-section view, and the end you're seeing here is the end with the adjusting screw, which would be the hinge side. Here's what it looks like. This is a 32-inch piece. Okay. So the 1425 SO3 is a surface-mounted automatic door bottom. Surface mount. You could mortise it as well into the face of the door if you wanted. There'd be no problem with that. You would just literally create a mortise in the face of the door if you wanted this to be mortised flush. The concept of an automatic door bottom is such that when the door closes, the seal drops and contours itself along the floor, creating a seal. So, the typical question is, wow, that's neat. How does it do that? Well, it's actually quite simple. What you've got is this plunger or adjusting screw, and right now I've got it turned counterclockwise so that it's stuck out about 3/8 of an inch. Okay, the more I turn that out counterclockwise, the further out it extends. The more I turn it clockwise, the further inside the housing it goes. The amount of projection of the adjusting nut or plunger is directly related to how much drop from 0 to 1 inch this unit can handle. The bottom will drop out. What is happening here and how that's accomplished, and you can see the neoprene closed cell insert here. They send it out long so you can trim it. Okay, so what's happening with this installation is you've got a plunger or the adjusting screw, and that's connected to a rod, which is connected to a flat spring. And that flat spring is installed internally through the mechanism inside, pins inside of here that keep this flat spring. When the plunger is depressed, when you push the plunger in, it will take that flat spring and it will compress it, which makes it bow. The bowing action, when the plunger is depressed, or compresses the flat spring, but forces it to bow, goes from straight to bowed, and that bowing action is what forces the bottom to drop. I'll show that to you now. I'm going to turn out the adjusting screw, and it's going to be too hard for me to do it with. No, it's not at all, actually. So when I depress the plunger, you can see that the bottom drops. And what you're seeing is the fact that it drops unevenly, and that's by design. That's the way it's supposed to be. So I've got it turned out, 5/16 of an inch or so. The more I do so, the more exaggerated that drop will become. And the more I turn it in, back into the housing in a clockwise fashion, the less it'll drop. Okay, I've got that out just, 3/16 of an inch or whatever. The reason it drops out unevenly is because you don't want the thing to drop all at once. Because the door is going through a closing action, you do want it to come down in a knife fashion. So one end is going to hit, one end will drop first, and then because this is restricted, it can't drop anymore, the rest will drop, contouring it along the floor. It'll contour itself on a floor that's a little bit out of level. Of course not wavy, because this bar inside of here is an aluminum extrusion. But it drops down, it's restricted, then the rest of it falls down like this. And that's what causes the seal. As a result, this item can be trimmed only up to a specific amount. they do not, well, they must. Okay. It's not indicated here the actual amount that you can cut this down. 2 inch is a very safe value to cut it down. Order the, if you want us to trim it to the actual length, order the next largest size or sizes and indicate in the comment field what length you want us to cut it down to. But no more than 2 inch, let's say, for this door bottom. It's not indicated here, but I'm very confident that 2 inch is a very safe dimension. You would obviously trim from the opposite side of the plunger. Don't trim from this side. That's the hinge side. Only trim from the other side. Now, regarding trimming, you're going to want to trim this to the width of the door, but you'll want to undersize it a little bit. A 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch. Okay? Because if the door swings in, the door is going to swing in, and you've got now at what is in effect a thicker door. So you'll want that on the lock side to be maybe kicked in a 1/16 of an inch. The hinge side, and this is the hinge side, the plunger goes on the hinge side. Let's talk about that. Hinge side of the door, okay, is a fixed point. You need that plunger when the door closes. The plunger is sticking out. Well, when the door closes, the plunger is going to make contact with the face of the frame. Well, what would be the stop of the frame, and you're going to want that plunger to hit the stop of the frame every single time, which can only, of course, happen on the hinge side. So you can flush this end off to the edge of the door. Well, you should probably, leave yourself a little bit of margin there, a 1/16 of an inch gap. Shouldn't be tight on it in case something moves. But then over here, because the door actually has to open, you've got to leave clearance for the thickness of the housing. So probably an 1/8 inch undercut total, and get it on there and check your clearance before you attach it. The instructions call specifically to the need to undersize the ceiling bar an 1/8 of an inch. The ceiling bar is specifically, oh, we got it here. The ceiling bar is specifically this portion of the bottom. That extrusion that's connected to the flat spring that the neoprene seal is in. You're going to need to trim that an 1/8 of an inch. Now, what I've done in the past is I've just kind of pulled it out after I've put this down, and I've cut it down on the lock side. You're not cutting the hinge side. Cut the lock side down, and by virtue of the fact that you've got a screw hole here, you're going to stay within that trimming distance. I've just pinched the ceiling bar, and I've held it out slightly with my fingers like this, and I would just take and file that down. Pull your seal out, and I would file that down. Or, however you're going to do that. But they want the ceiling bar an 1/8 of an inch shorter than the housing, and you can see right from the factory, that's basically how they've accomplished it. The only reason I can see for that is as soon as the plunger makes contact with the frame, you see how, keep your eyes on the ceiling bar here. If I'm emulating this making contact with the frame, you see how it shims in a little bit? There's a small amount of movement there that occurs, which is, I'm sure, making this, you can see that it comes at you a little bit, ever so slightly. So they want a little bit of margin for that small amount of play that's going to occur. Now, you could leave the seal long and trim it, as they have, and that would be the case. Dimensionally, let's not get too far away here. 1 13/16 tall. That's the aluminum extrusion. You're going to have up to a 1-inch drop capability. Looks like you got about 9/16 thickness. No, it's 5/8. It's It's actually heavy on 5/8. So yeah, it's 5/8. If you're going to mortise this into the door, wait to get it before you go mortising it so you can fit it perfectly the way you want. Automatic door bottoms are a real nice idea because they give you a very positive seal at the bottom of the door. They're very long lasting in installation. Okay, they're known to last for decades. They do not present something that is being dragged across the floor constantly every time it opens, wearing out the floor finish and obviously the seal. They're very elegant, I think. They're very effective. They do a very good job at providing a continuous seal underneath the door. The only its only disadvantage, in my opinion, really, is that you hear that it won't sound so loud, but you'll hear this retract back up. Now, it may not be an issue, but if it's used in a situation where any sort of sound could be a problem, keep that in mind, that there is a small amount of sound that you hear when the sealing bar comes back up, when the compression is removed from the flat spring and it snaps back up. You know, what would be a nice design is if they were to put some sort of, you know, rubberized pad on the inside of the housing. But nonetheless, that would be the only disadvantage I've ever heard really anyone say about it, and it's not, you know, I don't really share that opinion, but when it was called out to my attention years ago, I was like, yeah, you can certainly hear that, there's no question. Very good for helping with, you know, soundproofing. This is, in my opinion, you know, the poor man's way to soundproof a home studio. I sell this to a lot of guys doing, you know, home recording, and they do want to do the best job they can without literally buying professional grade, you know, material that you would see in a concert hall or in a professional recording studio. Great quality product. I think really serves the purpose well. Surface mounted screws are included. It's completely non-handed. You can install it either, you know, for a right-hand door, or just flip it around and install it for a left-hand door. It just doesn't matter. Accurate is a full-line manufacturer of unique solutions for weather stripping, and this door bottom, while it's somewhat garden variety, is part of their product offering of those items. They have mortise versions available, different sizes. You can get these in different finishes as well. If you have need for a custom length, again, order the next longest piece or pieces and indicate in the comment field what length you'd like for us to cut it back to. And if you have any questions on the Accurate 1425 SO3 automatic door bottom or any other Accurate product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.